A long time ago in China, a girl named Lily got married and went to live with her husband and mother in law. In a very short time, Lily found that she could not get along with her mother in law at all. Their personalities were very different, and Lily was angered by many of her mother in law's habits. In addition, she criticized Lily constantly. Days passed days, and weeks passed weeks. Lily and her mother in law never stopped arguing and fighting. But what made the situation even worse was that, according to ancient Chinese tradition, Lily had to bow to her mother in law and obey her every wish. All the anger and unhappiness in the house was causing the poor husband great distress. Finally, Lily could not stand her mother in law's bad temper and dictatorship any longer, and she decided to do something about it. Lily went to see her father's good friend, Mr. Hong, who sold herbs. She told him the situation and asked if he would give her some poison so that she could solve the problem once and for all. Mr. Hong thought for a while and finally said, Lily, I will help you solve your problem, but you must listen to me and obey what I tell you. Lily said, Yes, Mr. Hong, I will do whatever you tell me to do. Mr. Hong went into the back room and returned in a few minutes with a package of herbs. He told Lily, You can't use a quick acting poison to get rid of your mother in law because that would cause people to become suspicious. Therefore, I have given you a number of herbs that will slowly build up poison in her body. Every other day, prepare some delicious meal and put a little of these herbs in her serving. Now, in order to make sure that nobody suspects you when she dies, you must be very careful to act very friendly towards her. Don't argue with her, obey her every wish, and treat her like a queen. Lily was so happy. She thanked Mr. Hong and hurried home to start her plot of murdering her mother in law. Weeks went by, months went by, and every other day Lily served the specially treated food to her mother in law. She remembered what Mr. Hong had said about avoiding suspicion. So she controlled her temper, obeyed her mother in law, and treated her like her own mother. After 6 months had passed, the whole house, household had changed. Lily had practiced controlling her temper so much that she found that she almost never got mad or upset. She hadn't had an argument in 6 months with her mother in law, who now seemed much kinder and easier to get along with. The mother in law's attitude toward Lily changed, and she began to love Lily like her own daughter. She kept telling friends and relatives that Lily was the best daughter in law one could ever find. Lily and her mother in law were now treating each other like a real mother and daughter. Lily's husband was very happy to see what was happening. One day, Lily came to see Mr. Hong and asked for his help again. She said, Mr. Hong, please help me to stop the poison from killing my mother in law. She's changed into such a nice woman, and I love her like my own mother. I do not want her to die because of the poison I give her. Mr. Hong smiled and nodded his head. Lily, there's nothing to worry about. I never gave you any poison. The herbs I gave you were vitamins to improve her health. The only poison was in your mind and your attitude toward her. But that has been all washed away by the love which you gave to her.